And we are live. What is up, everyone? I'm looking at the wrong camera. Welcome back to the HackSmarter Twitch channel. My name is Tyler. I get to hang out with you for just a little bit this afternoon, and we are going to work on some AWS pen testing together. So even if you're brand new to AWS pen testing or pen testing in general, hopefully you learned something from this stream. What we are going to be doing, let me go ahead and share my screen. I actually don't know if I have the right screen set up. Oh, I do. Okay, beautiful. So I will share my screen here. I got the Twitch chat pulled up. So for those of you on Twitch, would love to hear from you. Let me know if you've ever done AWS pen testing stuff before, and would love to learn from you as I work through this myself. Let me go ahead and adjust a few things here. I have my camera set up a little bit differently just because of some meetings I was in today, but had a little bit of time now to work through a new scenario in CloudGoat. So if you're like, hey, what the heck am I looking at? Let me share with you guys real briefly what CloudGoat is. So CloudGoat is developed by Rhino Security Labs, and it is our vulnerable by design AWS deployment tool. What that means is it allows us to hone our cloud cybersecurity skills by creating and completing several capture the flag style scenarios. Each scenario is composed of AWS resources arranged together to create a structured learning experience. Here's a big thing. It's really hard to learn cloud pen testing, really hard to learn AWS pen testing unless you set up your own environment. I actually made a video, and it's on the Rhino Security Labs YouTube channel. It was actually a whole workshop I led. We had a few people join for the live workshop where I walked people through step-by-step from creating a free tier AWS account to launching their first CloudGoat scenario. So if you missed that, you can find that on YouTube, and then you can join me on these live. If you already have CloudGoat set up, I would encourage you, get your VM booted up, get CloudGoat ready, and let's walk through this ourselves. Even if you don't, like you're just watching, hey, I think you'll learn something in the process if you're just watching the video for the purpose of learning. So either way, it is good to have you here. I'm going to adjust my webcam a little bit, I think. I feel like my head is out of focus. There. Now I'm kind of more in the middle of the frame. Perfect. Okay, looking over at the chat. Esbran, as I said before, good to have you here. Mohammed, good to have you here. Mohammed, Cyber Law Lily, good to have you here as well. Let's go ahead and dive into it, guys. So I already shared a little bit about CloudGoat. We're going to get this scenario rocking. And once you get CloudGoat configured, I'll show you guys how easy it is to launch it. All I'm going to do is run this command from where I have CloudGoat at, and it's going to create all the resources we need. There we go. And while that creates the resources, let's go ahead and glance through this scenario. And I share this all the time, guys. My goal, though, is not to rush through this. My goal is to learn and to go slow. So as we come into terms or things that might be confusing to us, even if I know what it is, but I think it might be confusing to you, I will slow down and do my best to explain it so that this is hopefully a good learning process rather than me just running through this as fast as I can, which even if I go as fast as I can, I'm not that fast because I'm still in the very beginning stages of learning AWS pen testing myself. So here are the resources it's spawning. We're going to have one S3 bucket, one Cognito Userpool. We'll talk about that. One Cognito identity pool, one API gateway, one REST API, one API gateway REST API, one Lambda function, and one IAM role. I'll explain some of those terms as we get into it. OG Pro TV, what up, my friend? Good to have you here. Our scenario start, we're going to be given an API gateway URL, so we'll be given a website to start our scenario. And here is the goal, guys. So here's the start this is what we're starting with. Here's the end goal. Here's what we are trying to accomplish. We want to get Cognito identity pool credentials. And we're going to spend a little bit of time looking at the doc so we understand what the heck Cognito is. And here is the summary. In this scenario, you are presented with a sign up and login page with AWS Cognito in the backend. You need to bypass restrictions and exploit misconfigurations in Amazon Cognito in order to elevate your privileges and get Cognito identity pool credentials. And we'll kind of go off this exploitation route right here. So we'll follow this. So we have a high level overview of what we're trying to accomplish, but we'll see if we can figure out the commands, the syntax, and all that stuff on our own. So that'll be the plan. Let's go ahead and check this out. Okay, beautiful. It is done. So we have our gateway URL. Let's go ahead and get just some very basic notes started here. And we'll just call this API gateway URL. And we'll grab that from that. Right here, it looks like. So this is just like a website. We'll drop that in there. Looking over the chat, OG Pro said, I'm sorry for the question, but I'm just starting to learn the basics for IT. First of all, don't apologize for the question. That is why I'm live on Twitch, guys, to hang out, answer questions. And I wanted to have a blueprint project so that I have a compass to start learning towards cybersec. Is there anything I should start with? Linux basics, PowerShell, etc. OG Pro, it really depends on what your current experience level is. One of the best places you can start would be TryHackMe. TryHackMe has guided rooms that teach you kind of the basics of cybersecurity. I think they actually have like a basics of cybersecurity pathway to teach you the basics of cybersecurity and offensive pen testing in particular. One thing that I would do, depending on what you want to get into, is use a room or a VM on TryHackMe. And once you complete it, write up a report, start a blog, start a YouTube channel. That's what I did actually. The beginning of my YouTube channel was just me wanting to get into pen testing. I was working in IT support and I thought, every pen testing job that I ever see, it's like they require experience. I'm like, how the heck do I get experience? So what I did is I just started a YouTube channel and did what I'm doing now. Just work through stuff live, showing how I troubleshoot, showing my methodology, showing my communication skills, things like that. And my YouTube channel served as kind of my digital portfolio. And I'm happy to say I am now a pen tester. So a blog, a YouTube channel, any way that you can give back to the community would be a good place to start. As far as a specific project, honestly, that's up whatever you're passionate about. Depends on what area of IT you're in. Hopefully you find that answer helpful and not just confusing. But all right, let's check out this API gateway URL. Let's just open up our browser and we'll go there. And as we're going there, let's read a little bit about what the heck Cognito is. So this is directly from Amazon Docs. Whenever you have questions, right, read the documentation. So Amazon Cognito Federated Identities is a web service that delivers scoped temporary creds to mobile devices and other untrusted environments. Okay, so we get temporary credentials. It uniquely identifies a device and supplies a user with a consistent identity over the lifetime of an application, almost like a session token in some ways. Using Amazon Cognito Federated Identities, you can enable authentication with one or more third-party identity providers such as Facebook, Google, or logging with Amazon, or an Amazon Cognito Userpool, which is what we're going to be doing here. And you can also choose to support unauthenticated access from your app. Cognito delivers a unique identifier for each user and acts as an open ID token provider trusted by AWS Security Token Services to access temporary, limited privilege AWS creds. Okay, we should honestly dig in a little more about this so we understand what's going on. One is, what is this? So let's Google this. And I'm just showing you guys, this is how I learn stuff. You dive into stuff and you learn as you go. Van Titet, if I'm saying your name right, said, are we doing Hack the Box today? Not today, my friend. We are doing AWS Pentesting with CloudGoat, but I'll be back to Hack the Box soon. Or another. I have a Cali Max is a friend of mine who's going to start streaming here as well, and he will probably do some Hack the Box and TryHackMe stuff as well. But right now, I am learning AWS Pentesting myself, so that's what we are doing. So what is an Amazon Cognito user pool? A user pool is a user directory in Amazon Cognito. With a user pool, your users can sign into your web or mobile app through Amazon Cognito. Your users can also sign in through social identity providers, okay, and through SAML. All right. Whether users sign in directly or through a third party, all members of the user pool have a directory profile that can access through a software development kit or SDK. They provide sign-up and built-in services, a built-in customizable web UI, which I believe that's what this is going to be. That's our customizable web UI, social sign-in, user directory management, security features such as MFA, check for compromised creds, account takeover, customized workflows, and user migration through AWS Lambda triggers. After successfully authenticating a user, Amazon Cognito issues a JSON web token that you can use to secure and authorize access to your own APIs or exchange for AWS creds. So here's our app. We authenticate to get the token, social sign-in. Oh, wait, no, we're starting here. So we sign in, we get creds from the user pool, and we get that JWT token, JSON web token, in order to access the application. The two main components are user pools and identity pools. Okay, so we understand the user pool. What's an identity pool? Identity pools provide AWS credentials to grant your users access to other AWS services. To enable users in your user pool to access AWS resources, you can configure an identity pool to exchange user pool tokens. Oh, I need to read that again. To enable users in your user pool to access AWS resources, you can configure an identity pool to exchange user pool tokens for AWS creds. Okay, makes sense in my head now. For more information, see this. All right. I think we have an understanding. We can say Cognito is a way to authenticate to different applications. It can be used as social stuff. We can have authentication built in. And when we authenticate, we get a token. All right? So in order to abuse Cognito, I think if we glance at this, we'll close some of these extra tabs, we need to get the Cognito Userpool and client ID. And sometimes this is stored just in the source code because it's not necessarily vulnerable on its own. Yep, and I see it. Hopefully you guys see this. So on the source code right here, we can see the Cognito Userpool, and we see a Userpool ID and a client ID right there. So let's go ahead and just copy this whole field of code, and we'll copy that and we'll drop it into our notes. Zoom out a little bit. And so we have our Userpool ID and our client ID, and that's some of the information that we need. Now let's just see what happens if we make an account. And I will just say, in full disclosure, guys, usually I try to work through these live, like for the first time, but I actually went through this last week and stumbled my way through it, but I'm not going to use my notes. I'm going to re-stumble my way through it again, but just know that I'm not doing this completely live. So if I'm going through it maybe a little faster than you are and it's your first time doing it, it's not my first time doing it as it usually is. But I'm going to try to spend a little more time experimenting with it today for our own learning. Okay, so if we just do test and test, we get incorrect username or password. So it says sign up. Let's go ahead and sign up. And I'm actually going to get Burp Suite open as well because I'm sure we'll be using Burp Suite. So let's get Burp Suite open. Grab a drink of water. While that is opening, I'm going to just check messages on Discord and elsewhere. Make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, Discord. Okay, everything is good. And Burp Suite is ready, so let's just click next. We'll just do a temporary project, start Burp. Everything we're going to be doing, you can do with the Community Edition, so you do not need Burp Suite Professional. So if you just have a Community Edition, which is free and comes pre-installed on Kali, you can follow along just fine with that. Proxy is off. That's good. Right now, I just want to see what happens. So if we say that we are Hack Smarter, because that's obviously our name, and so it gives us that at ecorp.com. So if I do Hack Smarter at hack.com, and well, I'll do a real password. I'll do password 123. Same password I use for my bank account. Let me make sure I type that password 123. Sign up. Okay, so only emails from eCorp are accepted. So if we did hacksmarter at ecorp.com, sign up. Password did not conform. Ooh, they got some password strength in. So we'll call it password 123 exclamation mark. That makes it really secure. Sign up. An account with a given email already exists. Oh, did it actually go through? Let's call it subscribe at ecorp.com. How about that? It must be going through. Like if I sign up again, does it say an account exists? Okay, so if we go to login now and we do subscribe at ecorp.com, password 123 exclamation mark, what happens? User is not confirmed. So we have to figure out how to confirm our user. And so there's a few things, guys, we have to do first. One is we need to figure out how to get access to this. How do we bypass this restriction? There's a few things that we can try. If we go to Burp, and let's go ahead and turn on Intercept, and we will call ourselves Hack Smarter again. And for my email, you can use your real email, but because I'm live on stream, I'm not going to open my email. I would assume I can use a collaborator link. Burp Suite Collaborator is limited to the Pro Edition, but you can use your regular email for this. But Burp Suite Collaborator can be used as a web server, email, all that stuff. I don't actually know if this will work or not, but if we call it test at and drop my collaborator link in there, and same thing, password 123 exclamation mark. Let's go ahead and hit sign up. Oh, so that checks it right away. I can't even modify it. So what I was hoping it would do is that it would send it over here. We could grab the request and we can modify it, but that does not appear like it's going to be working. So then the question we have to figure out is what can we do with the AWS CLI? All right, if we can't do it here and we know Cognito is an Amazon service, we have this information, right? We have the Userpool ID and the client ID. Can we set up an account through the command line interface? That's what we're going to have to do. And if we pull up our handy dandy robot friend, Good old ChatGPT. Let's see if ChatGPT can help us. First, hack smarter Twitch stream. Oh, I can't spell. Hello, everyone on the Hack Smarter Twitch stream. It's great to be here, and I hope you're all having a wonderful day. If there's anything I can do to assist you, just let me know. All right, I have a few things you can assist me with. How do I sign up for an account with Amazon Cognito using only the AWS CLI? Okay, create an Amazon Cognito user pool. Oh, we don't want to create a user pool. Nope, wrong. Okay, we'll correct him. So this is if, from the perspective, right, if we were the one managing this, ChatGPT is saying, here's how you can create it. But that's not what we want to do. Create an app, enter the following to create a new user, enter the following command to set the user's password. How do I sign up for an existing Amazon Cognito service as the user via the CLI? If I have the, what do we have? User pool ID and client ID, right? User pool ID and client ID. User pool ID and client ID. Okay. This looks a little more like what we want to use. Here, I'm just going to copy this code. Let's look at the code ourselves and see if we understand what it's doing. So AWS Cognito IDP sign up. We're going to pass the client ID right here. So let's grab our client ID. Username. We're going to put our username here, which I believe needs to be an email. So we'll just call it hacksmarter at. Let me grab a collaborator link, copy to clipboard. Oh, go to the right tab. All right, and let's grab our password. We'll call it password 123 exclamation mark. User attributes, name. Is this just the email again? I don't know. Hack smarter. Hack smarter. I don't know if this is going to work. Let's give it a shot. Let's copy all that. Let's drop it in here. Oh. A client attempted to write unauthorized attribute. So something with the user attributes. What if we remove user attributes completely? Like, can I just sign up with this information right here? Let's give this a shot. I should probably just configure it so I don't have to do this over and over again. But an error occurred when calling the sign up attribute. Attributes should not conform to the schema given name. The attribute, okay, so we need to specify specific attributes here. So I'm going to go ahead and tell ChatGPT this error to show you guys how awesome ChatGPT is. And I bet ChatGPT can fix our command for us. How nice of ChatGPT. Okay, let's go ahead and glance at this code. So same thing, username, password, user attributes, name equals given name. So that's the attribute. Our value is John, and DOE, and region US East 1. Okay, that works fine for me. Let's see if that works. Beautiful. So guys, we successfully bypassed that. Now, if we pull this up, so I can see we're getting an email here. And it has our confirmation code. This is just the raw SMTP. I think I just saw, yeah, there's our confirmation code is 900432. So we bypass that eCorp requirement by doing it via the command line. So let's go ahead and log in now. And let's see if we can log in and maybe confirm our creds or something like that. So what was our email? I don't actually even remember, y'all. This long thing. I'm going to drop this in our notes. Otherwise, I'm going to end up clearing that and forgetting what it is. There we go. There's our email. So let's grab that email, drop it in there, and password 123 exclamation mark and hit login. Does it prompt us to confirm it? No. So we have to confirm it via the command line as well. So let's see if ChatGPT can help us confirm it via the command line. Okay, now I received a confirmation code to my email. I need to confirm this account via the CLI. How can I do that with... Oh, I spelled CLI wrong, but he'll get it. Okay, that looks promising. Look at, he even remembers my username. What a nice robot friend. Telling you guys, ChatGPT is comes in clutch. He's so much smarter than I am. All right, ChatGPT. Let's see if we can do this together, my friend. So we're confirming sign up our client ID, username, and we're going to pass our confirmation code in here. And our confirmation code is right here. 900432. Did that copy? Let's see if it copied. Sometimes it doesn't like to copy very well. Yeah, it did. Okay. Let's see if that works. Beautiful. We confirmed the email. So now let's see if we can log into our account. Awesome. It says you're a reader. If I look at the page source, let me go ahead and go back. I want to log back out. What was it? Just index.html, I think. Something caught my eye in the source code. If we look at the source code, it's doing something interesting here. So it's confirming our user, and here it is. So if our access is equal to admin, then bring us to admin.html, else bring us to reader.html. So it's setting whatever access is, like a custom variable. However that is set, it's going to bring us to one of those pages. Can we just automatically go to admin.html? Oh, I got to log back in now. So if I grab this, type in our password, we'll look at this in Burp in just a little bit. I just want to see, can I just manually go to admin.html? Is there anything interesting there? So if I just change this. Okay, you are an admin. Add the user's ID token to the Cognito creds log map. Okay, so just going to the admin page doesn't do anything for us special, at least yet. Let's glance back at this. So we found our entry point. We got the Cognito Userpool client ID. We signed up and confirmed our email manually. We log in and okay, so there's a custom user attribute, and we need to update that user attribute. Let's look at the authentication flow using Burp Suite. So if we go back here, let's go back to index.html. And I want to log in brand new, and I want to look at every aspect of this login and see like what looks interesting to us. Like that. Let's jump over to Burp Suite. Let's turn on Intercept, which I already have on, and let's go ahead and hit login. Oh, okay. You know, what would be helpful is if I turned on Foxy Proxy when I did that. Don't you guys think? There. Now that I have my Intercept on and my proxy on, now it should work. So I wonder if it would have worked before. I wonder if I could have modified the name. I just didn't have Foxy Proxy turned on. What a silly, silly new mistake. So what do we see here? It's passing the client ID, passing our username. Let's just send this to repeater. I want to see the response from it. We'll send each one of these to repeater so we can look at them a little easier. And we get a challenge. We have our secret block. username, client metadata. I don't see anything too interesting to us there, so let's go ahead and forward that on. And we have this one. Let's glance at this one now. We have our challenge. So it's the same thing that we saw before, and it's a post request. Let's send that forward. We get an access token. There's that JWT token that I was talking about. So if you've never seen a JWT token, if we grab this, and if we go to somewhere like jwt.io, is that the website, I think? Yeah, jwt.io. Well, okay, we'll go to it later. I'll explain that to you guys later. JWT is kind of like a session token. And we can see that's what is passing us right there. There's our session token, the access token. Our ID token, refresh token. It's a token type bearer. Okay. Let's go to proxy. Let's forward that request on. Oh, that's two. Oh, that's what I was trying to do before. Okay, forward that on. Ignore that. Is authentication done? Oh, what do you mean incorrect username and password? What are you talking about, scrub? Password 123. That was an incorrect. Try that again. Did I really type the password wrong that time? I'm going to look at each one of these now to see if I get anything different. Okay, so that's the same. Send that to repeater. What? Okay, I am typing the incorrect password. What is going on? Is my username wrong? Hack smarter at I9. You guys saw me make my account. Like, there's my password right there. I'm definitely typing that. Okay, let's turn off proxy. Let's see if I can log in. Password 123 exclamation mark. Is the proxy screwing it up somehow? I wonder. Yeah, something with the proxy. Let me turn proxy back on now. And what if I just refresh? If I just refresh this with the proxy on. Does this give me anything interesting out? No, it just says you're a reader. So during initial authentication, I must be setting a variable. I wonder, so there's a few things. I wonder if we can update the variable via Burp Suite, or if we can at least see it via Burp Suite, or maybe we have to do it via the command line like everything else we've done up to this point. I want to try to authenticate one more time. I'm going to copy and paste the value so you guys know I'm not going crazy. Password 123 exclamation mark. You guys all saw me make the account, so you know that's what the password is. So I'm going to quite literally copy this in, paste. Copy this in. I have a feeling because I'm capturing it with Burp, it might be timing out in some way. Let's see if we can at least get past that initial part. There we go. Looks like I'm going to send each one of these requests, and then we'll take a look at them. Okay. I think if we go back to this one right here, that's just setting our access token. Okay, guys, so here's our user attribute. Do you see that? We have user attribute, a custom user attribute with the value of reader. And if we look back at the source code, we had to be admin. Remember, if admin, it brought us to admin.html. Else, if it's anything else, it brings us to the reader.html and tells us we're a reader. So we need to change our custom access to admin. So once again, let's go. Actually, let's just copy. Let's copy this. And let's ask our robot friend once again, how do we do this? Okay, I need to update the custom attribute. Cognito, not admin update. Silly, I said not admin. Okay, update user attributes. Do we pass? Yeah, we pass in our access token, so that says JWT token that we're going to pass in. And then we're going to attempt to update our custom access value admin. Okay, that makes sense. Let's give it a shot. So if we pull up our notes, let's drop that information in there. So we need to grab our access token, which if we see that, it's right here, clearly labeled access token. So let's copy that, which is a JWT token. I can turn off proxy, and I'll show you guys that real quick now, what a JWT token looks like. So if we go here and drop it in here, it's just base64 encoded, and you can see some information about it, right? Where we're authenticating to, we can see the client ID, things like that. We can see the signature. There's a few standard attacks when it comes to JWT. Sometimes if the signature is not verified, you can quite literally just change your name to be anyone else that you want to be. So I can go from, instead of Tyler, I can be Cali Max. Since I know he streams on here, I can become Cali Max if it doesn't verify the signature. There's different interesting attacks like that with JWTs, but Amazon, of course, is going to implement it securely. So it's not going to be vulnerable to those like super common attacks, but you can at least see this long string right here actually includes some information. We have a header, we have payload, and we have the signature. 3 aspects, and it neatly color codes it for us. That is what is going on there. So if we grab that same access token, all we're doing with it here is we want to say, hey, make this request as the HacksMurder user, and here's proof that I'm the HacksMurder user. Here is my access token showing that it is me. And so we're passing a new attribute. So we're saying, hey, this custom access attribute, we want you to make the value of admin. That's what we want you to do for us. Let's see if it works. Beautiful. It seemed to work. Let's go ahead and log back into this. So if we change this back to index.html, and if we grab it from right here, password 123 exclamation mark, hit login. Yo, am I really typing it wrong? Oh, look, it's not copying the first part of my name. Is that the issue this whole time? Probably. Admin.html. We are an admin. Now, I'm curious about a few things. So burp is on, perfect. Let's turn intercept on, and I just want to see if this does anything special. So if I refresh this, send this to repeater, does it give me any interesting information here? Okay, so we have our user pool ID, we have our client ID. If Cognito user does not equal null, Cognito user get section, if result console log, you are logged in. Region needs to be set if not already set elsewhere. Add the user's ID token to the Cognito credentials login map. AWS config credentials equals new AWS Cognito identity creds. Then we're passing in the identity pool ID and the login. And then we have this result, get ID token, get JWT token. Is this passing it to the actual JavaScript console? So if we go to more tools, web developer tools, and we go to console, maybe it's elsewhere. I was thinking it's going to pass there. Let's actually watch this entire login process, guys, because I think it's going to give us different creds. Oh, we need to go index.html. Now that we're an admin, let's just monitor the login process and see if at some point in time in this process we get different credentials. OG Pros at Tyler are using Kali. I am using Kali. But I also have an Ubuntu box that I use, and I use Parrot OS sometimes, so I'm not tied to Kali. Oh, that's funny. You asked the question next. Would you prefer Parrot? Yeah. I actually do use Parrot. I'm not tied to any specific VM, right? Linux does the heavy lifting. Whatever the face of it looks like is fine. I like the feel of Parrot. I like the look of Parrot. So you'll actually see me on stream using Parrot. I'll use Kali occasionally. I'll use Parrot occasionally. And I have just an Ubuntu box that I just customize with my own tool. So I use all three. I have no preference for any of them. Kali is sometimes nice just because it's the biggest one, right? So some tools work a little better for it. But I've seen tools that work better in Parrot. Let me turn on intercept. And I'm just going to capture each response like before, whoops, and send each one of these to repeater as we log in. What's it doing? Okay, is that all the requests? OG Pro on Twitch said it's just getting used to it, or is there any real difference between them? Not really any real difference. They're both Debian based, so even installing tools, all of it's the same. I really don't think there's a big difference between Parrot and Kali, besides the name recognition. And yeah, the feel, a little bit of the feel is different. Okay, so here's our first request as an admin user. Nothing different there. Oh, shoot. Did I do incorrect password? No way. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, we're good. So we can see our custom access as admin right there. Why didn't this one not work? Must just time out after a certain amount of time. So we can see we successfully updated that user attribute, which is why it's bringing us to the admin page. Oh, and there is our information, guys. So it was sending it as another request. So what we see here, this get ID token, get JWT token, and passing us, like giving us a new creds, that's right here, passing our JWT token. And you see we now have an access key ID, we have a session key, and we have a session token. And that's how we're going to be able to authenticate. So if we look back at this, we log in, identify custom user attribute, success, we did that. Update custom user attribute, success, we did that as well. Log in to get identity pool credentials, success, we did that. And enumerate privileges for post-exploitation, which I don't think there's going to be any special privileges that we're going to see right away. But let's go ahead. I'll show you guys Paku real quick, another tool developed by Rhino, and we'll do something very basic here. One thing I do have to do, guys, is stop sharing my screen, because I have to save these credentials into my actual AWS credential folder, or my file. When I'm done, I'll show you guys how I did that. But for now, you have to stop watching my screen for a moment. As soon as I'm done, I'll bring my screen back, and I'll show you guys what that credential file looks like, because I have a sample one set up in my folder. Actually, I don't think I do anymore. I ended up redoing CloudGoat on my machine, so I don't actually think I have it, but oh well. I'll give you guys a sample of what it looks like. Just getting this information typed in right now. So we have our access key ID. I'm going to go ahead and grab that one. An AWS secret access key. We'll drop in our secret there. And then finally, our AWS session token. I need to drop that in there. Copy that. Paste that in. Save. And I'm actually going to copy this whole field that I created. And we'll show it to you guys in a second. Okay. Let me go ahead and go back to sharing my screen. So what I just did, guys, in each folder, there is, if I do ls, home, Tyler, AWS like that. Once you set up AWS CLI, just like how you often have a .ssh, a hidden folder, you have a .aws hidden folder, and in this credential file is where you can set up credentials for different profiles. So if I do pluma sample credentials .text like that, oh, is it not going to paste it? I tried to copy it from that file, but apparently it didn't want to do it. Sorry, you guys got to look at my face again. I want to show you what this file looks like, because if you're following along on your own, you might be confused on how to do this. So I want to make sure I show you what it looks like. Just getting it pulled up. I'm going to copy the credentials I used for Cognito. Ooh, I actually have a typo at the end of it. I'm glad I pulled it up. Okay, I'm going to right-click copy so it actually copies this time. Now if I share Pluma, sample, credentials, like that. Okay, so here's what it looks like. In that credential folder or file I showed you guys, up here's your profile name. That could be anything. I could have called this Hack Smarter. I could have called it Tyler. But you give it your access key ID, your secret access key, and then the session token. All that information we got directly from here. Access key ID, secret key, and session token. And then we can make commands as that user. So something we can do in order to do this easier. So in order to do like who am I in AWS is like STS, get identity profile, something confusing. But Rhino made a really cool tool called Paku, which I'm still learning. But if we open up Paku, I think it's Paku, not Paku. Oh, shoot. Did I break my file again? I did this before. All right. You guys have to look at my face again. I don't know why I keep breaking my file. This is the second time I've done this, and I don't know what I'm breaking about it. There must be a typo. So I'm going to figure out what it is. I'm just manually looking at these to see if I missed something in my file that broke it. Then I'll go back to sharing my screen. Worst case scenario, I have to recreate this dumb file again. Do. Okay, I did break it. I'm going to, one second guys, I'm going to make a backup of it. So you have to look at just my face a little bit longer. Credentials, and we'll call it credentials backup. If I just copy Cognito. Okay, perfect. I fixed it. Now I will show you guys my screen. I don't know what I broke about my cred file. I just remade the credential file and that fixed it. So with Paku, if I just run it, there's some cool stuff that we can do. So we can start a new session by hitting 0. And what we would like to name the session, we'll just call it Cognito. Would you like to, oh, that name already exists from the last time I did this. We'll call it Cognito 2. Okay, and we have a few commands. This is kind of like Metasploit, but for the cloud. So we can set our keys. Setting AWS keys, press enter to keep the current value rather stored. Enter the letter C to clear the value rather than set it. If you enter an existing key alias, that key will be updated instead of added. So if we do Cognito. Oh, I need to import keys. Hold up. I think it's import keys. See, I told you guys I was just learning this tool. Let's do Cognito 2. I think it's import keys. Yeah, import keys. Import keys, and then we can call it our Cognito keys. And there we go. So who am I gives us all this information before we can actually look for privilege escalation methods. So if I do search, I think priv, would that do it? I am privescan run, I am privesc scan. I don't actually know if this will work because we didn't create any resources for privilege escalation, so it's probably not going to pass to it. But what this would do is automatically look through like what are some ways we can elevate our privileges in this account. Is there a specific value you want to target? And actually try to like auto elevate our privileges. So really it's Metasploit for the cloud. Really cool. Once I get honestly a better hang of it and find some cool scenarios it works in, I'll make some videos of working with Paku as I work through some of these scenarios. But for the purpose of this scenario, we completed it. We found our entry point. We got the Cognito Userpool client ID. We signed up and confirmed our email manually. We logged in, identified our custom user attribute. We updated the custom user attribute from reader to admin. We logged in again to get our identity pool creds, and then we enumerated privileges for post-exploitation. There's actually a really good blog post about this. I wonder if it's, I'm going to look it up. The creator of this actually is part of our Discord, and he or someone on his team made a really good blog post about this. We'll just type CloudGoat explaining exactly what's going on. Here we go. I want to read this for all of us just so we understand a little more about what we did. So this comes from TrustOnCloud, from Rashid here, who I believe is the one who created this, exploiting two of the most common vulnerabilities in Amazon Cognito with CloudGoat. So during our in-depth research for Amazon Cognito threat model, we found potential security threats that may be overlooked during its implementation for user authentication and authorization. To help educate the community on how this can lead to vulnerabilities, we developed a lab for CloudGoat that we just did, guys, called Vulnerable Cognito. This scenario will help you learn and practice exploiting common security misconfigurations and applications built using Amazon Cognito. In this lab, we will exploit two misconfigurations. We'll bypass the application validation check to sign up directly to a Cognito user pool, which is what we did, and update the custom user attribute to escalate privilege and get identity pool credentials. Looking over the chat, Callie Max said, what are you using for the brick background? Looks dope, no artifacts washed out. Okay, I'm going to pause for the people on YouTube, and I'm going to show off my fake brick wall. So Callie Max, you see this, dude? It's just, I bought this off Amazon for like $20, dude. I have like a photographer thing on both sides, and this is just fabric. You guys see how that whole thing moves? Just fabric, just looks nicer. It's pretty easy to set up. I just usually don't take the time to set it up unless I have client calls, and for like my real job as a pen tester, I had a few calls with clients, and when I do a client call, I try to make my backdrop a little nicer rather than just dark. So I had my brick wall set up today. So that's all it is. Callie, if you shoot me a message on Discord, I'll go back in my Amazon history and find what it is. But it is nice. Then you can have a nice backdrop no matter where you're at. Okay, back to my main screen. So we exploited those two things successfully. Overview of the scenario, we already looked at an overview of the scenario. Deploying CloudGoat just walks through how to deploy it. So here's the first thing that we did. After deploying the scenario, you get an API gateway URL to open in the browser. It has a login and a sign-up page. On the sign-up page, you will get an email validation error when you try to sign up using an email address, which we did. These validation checks are used to prevent user sign-up and logins from spam emails and to verify that the email belongs to a whitelisted domain. Cognito Userpool and Userpool client ID can be found in the source code of both index.html and signup.html. The client ID can be used to perform self-user management actions directly in Cognito. So that was key, the client ID, such as sign up, login, email verification, and editing user attributes without first interacting with the website, which is exactly what we did. Our goal is to sign up and get access to the web portal, but the validation check is preventing us from doing that. Instead of signing up from the web page, we can sign up directly into a Cognito user pool using the above client ID that we found, which we did that, and we manually confirmed it. ChatGPT came in clutch and helped us with the commands. After confirming the email address, log into the web page. When you log in, you get redirected to reader.html, which contains a text saying, "You're a reader." The next step is to inspect the HTML page in your browser and retrieve the Cognito access token. So I did it differently. So it's stored in local storage. Interesting. In the browser, right-click and then go to Inspect Application Local Storage, and you will see the access token. We just did it by monitoring our requests in Burp Suite. All right, more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. Users can access this access token for self-management in Cognito. Use the following command with this token to get user attributes. Okay, so we didn't do this either. Once again, we just did this in Burp Suite. It was sending these requests, and we were just monitoring in Burp Suite. So you could do it via the command line or Burp Suite like the way we did it. These attributes are the data we added while signing up, but there's one additional custom attribute, custom access, added by Cognito using a post-confirmation Lambda trigger. In the next section, we will escalate the privileges of our newly added user by exploiting this attribute. So in Cognito, custom user attributes are used for better user management. These custom attributes are important and mostly overlooked in terms of security. Let's try updating the custom access attribute to admin using AWS CLI, which we did this. We did it a little bit different, but our way worked as well. But we did that exact thing. We got admin creds. We have the identity pool. Run the following command to get identity ID. So once again, we didn't do it via the CLI. We just did it by monitoring the request in Burp, and we were able to get our credentials, and we logged in. Security recommendations to avoid above discussed vulnerabilities in Cognito. You can 1. Use pre-sign-up Lambda triggers to perform custom validation instead of using client-side validation, right? You should never trust what a client tells you. Client-side validation is always a bad idea if that's the only thing you're doing. And 2, if you use custom user attributes to define users' access level, then limit the write access for all Cognito Userpool clients. In other words, if we couldn't write to our own attributes, we could not have changed that and elevated our privileges. You can edit important attributes using a confidential Cognito client on the server side. Conclusion, this blog demonstrates a practical approach to exploiting 2 common misconfigurations in Amazon Cognito. Kudos to the CloudGoat team for providing an amazing platform to build interesting scenarios. Hey, kudos to TrustOnCloud for making this incredible scenario. Thank you for making it. If you want to know more about ways to abuse Cognito, feel free to contact us and learn about our Amazon Cognito threat model. Very cool stuff. Very cool scenario. I know I learned a lot, even though this is technically my second time going through this, as I shared before. I learned new stuff as I was going through it the second time and just trying to not use notes, remember how I did it, remember some of these attack vectors. Hopefully you guys learned a little more about Amazon Cognito through this process. And guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you for hanging out. It's almost the end of the day for me, so I'll probably not jump on stream any more times a day, but I'll be back throughout the week doing either AWS Pentesting, Hack the Box, Try Hack Me, all those kind of things. So guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you for hanging out. I will catch you guys in the next one. See ya.